Dear students, welcome back to the online sessions on DCCA. In the earlier chapters, we discussed many concepts, and presently we are dealing with the network layer routing algorithms. Okay. So in the previous sessions, we discussed many concepts on network layer responsibilities and necessity of going for routing in the network layer. Okay. Now today what we try to do is we will try to go with some of the algorithms which are normally there in the network layer architecture. So before we just go to algorithms, we discussed what is that we discussed in the earlier chapters. We discussed about the necessity of routing, and we discussed about the services you normally provide in the network layer, known as the connection oriented service and connectionless service. Now to provide these two services, we have to perform the operation known as routing. Routing operations normally going to be done by using the routing algorithms. Now today we will just try to go some of the routing algorithms. Let's have a look now. In the last sessions, we have completed this connection oriented service and connectionless service. So in this connectionless service, every packet is normally going to get routed in a different path. Now everywhere the router is going to simply write down the path that the packet need to undergo. Based on the path that the router decides, accordingly it is going to prepare the routing table. And we discussed how do we normally prepare this routing table based on the destination router and the line that is normally used for a packet to get transferred. Okay, this is what connectionless service, and similarly we went through the connection oriented service, and we discussed that connectionless service comes under the datagram networks, datagram packet, and connection oriented means what? It simply comes under the virtual circuits. So initially there is no connection between the two computers like H1 and H2, but once after we make the packet to get transversed from the source computer to the destination computer, then the router is normally going to prepare a route for a packet to get transferred. Now this is how the mechanism, how it's normally going to get routed. Now internally how the router is going to find out the route, that is nothing but the routing methods or routing techniques. So in today's session we will try to discuss about that, some of the routing techniques. Okay. So we discussed about the differences between the connectionless service and connection oriented service. In connectionless service we call the packet as a datagram packet, and in the connection oriented service we simply call that packet comes into the virtual circuit subnet packet. Okay, and we discussed about these differences, and we have to undergo various routing algorithms. Now whatever that are marked with red color, they are there in the syllabus. There are many routing algorithms available. Out of the many routing algorithms available, we have only few in the syllabus, such as shortest path routing, flooding, hierarchical routing, broadcast routing, and multicast routing. These are the routing algorithms using which the router is normally going to find out the route that has to be taken for a packet to get transferred from source computer to the destination computer in the network. Okay. So first of all, the easiest one is going to be the shortest path routing method. So in this shortest path routing method, what we are going to have now, we just discuss about how a route is normally going to get decided, right? So in this method, as the name indicates, what is the name is indicating? Shortest path routing. That means how the router is going to find out the shortest path for a destination computer. That is discussed in the case of the routing algorithm known as shortest path routing. Now what are the criteria on which the router is normally going to find out the shortest path? Obviously the first point is distance. The distance traveled, the distance taken for a packet to travel from one node or one router to another router is the one of the criteria. And next criteria is going to be in the communication part is going to be the bandwidth. Bandwidth is going to be the second criteria that we have to really look into. That means So the criteria are going to be what called distance is the firstmost criteria. Then second one is going to be what? After distance, it is the bandwidth. Bandwidth that is taken to transmit the signal. Distance is one criteria, bandwidth is second important criteria, and third criteria is going to be the cost. Cost of utilization of the line is going to be the third criteria, and several other criteria are going to be there which are not so important. Other criteria are going to be known as traffic, load on the traffic, the time delay, the delay time, and the propagation delay time, then the losses in the network. So all of them will be considered. But most importantly, for shortest path routing algorithm, these three are going to play a predominant role. That is called distance between the nodes, and bandwidth that is allocated for a packet to get transferred, and next is cost of using the network, because ultimately we are going to provide service to the end user. So end user should get the network with a cheaper cost. So therefore these three are going to be the performance criteria for the system. So that's the reason why first of all we go with the easiest method known as the shortest path routing method. In this algorithm we try to deal with in terms of the distance covered by the path. Okay, it's very simple method. So it is going to be straightforward. As the name indicates, shortest path routing. Every router has to find out what is the shortest path for a packet to transfer from source to destination. So in this process, what the router will do, every router will do. Let us try to look into that. So we'll discuss about these things like several other factors which are important. The properties of the routing algorithms. What are the properties of routing algorithms that we need to satisfy? The routing algorithm should be correct, therefore correctness has to be satisfied. It should be simple for a router to undergo the routing procedure, and the system should be robust. What is the meaning of robust? The system should really run in spite of the errors that are happening in the system. That means in spite of problems happening in the network, the system or a router system should really execute its task. Okay, so therefore we simply call that type of concept is going to be called as a routing. So system will be in place for years with a small failures. Even though there are failures in the system, but still the system working should not get stopped. So system should keep on working even though there are failures in the network in the long run. That is what we have to see. And next, the system has to be stable. What is the meaning of stability? The result should be convergent. That means what is the result here? Communicating signal from source to the destination computer is the result. So it should be really stable enough. The next one is it should be fair. That means whatever the router is doing should be transparent to the higher authorities, whoever are going to use the network, known as the network engineer. So it should be fair enough to understand. The next one is the router should really perform the work efficiently. Okay, so these are the various great properties of the routers. Now, why we have to go for routing algorithms? What is the necessity of going for routing algorithms? The necessity of going for routing algorithms is going to be twofold. That is going to be optimality. That means there is going to be a conflict between the fairness and optimality. In order to reduce the conflict between the communicating nodes, we have to go with the routing algorithms. So a simple scenario has been explained here. There are various computers A, B, C, A dash, B dash, C dash are the different computers. Now these computers want to communicate. Now in doing that, there is a line. If you see carefully, there is another node like X here. I got X dash here. Now all these computers want to communicate. What is the problem here? Imagine that A, B, C are simultaneously transmitting its data to A dash, B dash and C dash in the path shown here. Now while the communication is happening between A dash, B dash, C dash, if at all X dash want to communicate, then definitely there is going to be a conflict. So we have to avoid such conflicts. In order to avoid such conflicts, you have to undergo the routing algorithms. Okay. That means here to avoid conflicts between the fairness and optimality. Fairness means what? Every node in the network should get a fair chance of accessing the network. So that is what it has to get. So in order to have that particular thing, we normally go with the routing algorithms. That means to avoid conflicts, we normally use the routing algorithms in the network layer protocol. Okay. So network layer is normally going to have the routing algorithms. Whichever computer want to involve in the communication process, so that computer should compulsorily going to have the 7 layers of the network, or if the application is going to internet layer, it's going to have 5 layers, whatever it is. So some layer network architecture will be there. So in that, network layer is the most important one, which decides about the routing of the packets in the network. Okay. So a route has to be decided for a packet to travel from source to the destination computer. So why we have to go for routing algorithms? Just to avoid conflicts, we have to go for the routing algorithms. To explain that concept in the exam, you have to simply draw this particular simple diagram, and you should explain that then there could be a conflict. There could be a conflict between communication between XX dash and AA dash. When all these communications are happening simultaneously, then there is going to be a conflict. To avoid such conflicts, we have to really go with the routing algorithms. Let us go with the first routing algorithm known as the shortest path routing algorithm. And before we go to that particular entire routing algorithms are segregated into 2 subcategories known as non-adaptive and adaptive type of the routing algorithms. Non-adaptive type and adaptive type of the routing algorithms. As the name itself indicates, what is the meaning of adaptive routing? Adaptive means what? The router should be in a position to change its routing table based on the conditions of the network, based on the underlying network topology, based on the technology involved in the routers, and based on the type of the network, based on the type of the service it is doing. If at all we want to change, we have to adapt the changes. The changes should be adapted by the routers. So therefore, one of the routing type is going to be like adaptive type of routing. So this adaptive type is known as dynamic routing. Next one is going to be non-adaptive type, means what? Static routing. Static routing means what? Once the route is established, the router has to consider the same path to transmit a packet. That is what called static routing. What is dynamic routing? In dynamic routing, no router is normally going to predefine. So whenever a packet is coming to the router and the route is decided then and there on, that is what called simply dynamic routing. Especially in internet based applications, we go with the adaptive type of the routing algorithms, right? So non-adaptive type of routing algorithms are normally used if at all you wanted to test the network, then you normally go with the non-adaptive type of the routing known as a static routing method. That means you want to know the information or state of a router in a network, then you normally go with the non-adaptive type of the routing algorithms. Now the shortest path routing is known as the non-adaptive type of the routing algorithms. So this comes under shortest path routing method, comes under the non-adaptive type of the routing algorithms, which is known as static routing algorithms. Static means what? Fixed. We already know the meaning of static. It is fixed. It won't change later on. Once the route is fixed for a packet to travel from source to destination computer, then we say that the route is fixed. Every time the packet is going to take that route to travel. Okay, until and unless we reconfigure the entire network. Okay. So for example, I want to transmit the data from. Now if you observe this carefully, there are so many nodes here. See, these circles are there, dots are there. So here that means what? These, whatever that I am showing here with the solid dot, it is known as the primitive node or a primary node, and whatever that I am showing with arrow, that is known as working node. Okay. So there are two nodes, primary node and the working node. What is the primary node that we can think of? The primary node is nothing but the node from where we normally going to find out the routes for various routers. Okay, that means here, say for example, at router A, this is router A wanted to have a communication. So what this router A will do now? Now router A want to communicate to, imagine that there is a route something like, I may say it is going to be like H. There is H here. Now I want to transmit a signal or a packet from node A or router A to router H. We have to find out the shortest path. So to find out shortest path for this, what the routers will do now, first of all, router has to test for the distance covered for a packet to travel. Alright, now here if you see carefully, this is A to B, he is having a number 2, means what? It is the shortest distance. There are nodes, say B and G. This B and G are connected to A. That means after A, what are the nodes which are there in the network? It is going to be B and G. Among B and G, which is the shortest? Whichever number is lesser, that is nothing but the shortest one. That means 2 is lesser than 6. So this is the shortest path. That means here the packet will travel to node B faster than the packet takes time to travel to node G. So therefore, A to B is the fastest route. So for this to find out what the router A should do now, router A has to compulsorily undergo this testing, that it is going to send its packet to find out the distance covered. So that means router A sends a signal, control signal to router B and router G. It expects the distance, it expects the signal from these two B and G nodes or routers. It is normally going to get performed this with the acknowledgement signal. So whichever node is going to give the acknowledgement with less delay, it is going to be the shortest path for it. So that means like that, it is normally going to give some number to that particular shortest path. Now say it's going to give number 2, number 6. It is understood that A to B is the shortest path. See these numbers 6, 2, 1, 2. That means what? These numbers are not actually predefined. These numbers will be found out by the router when it is going to route the packet while finding out the shortest path. Say router A finds out that router B is the shortest and it gives the number as 2. It has given number 6 between A and G route. That means B is the shortest. Therefore, it is going to take this path and leaving A as going to be the active node and B is going to be the working node. Now, while writing B node, what is the value written over here? B is going to have a value to 2 comma A, means what? A is nothing but source router and 2 is nothing but the distance traveled from A to B. Similarly, from B, what are the nodes connected? It is C and E. Since C and E are connected, it has to find out the shortest path route. So to find out shortest path route, it is going to have between B and C it is 7. Between B and C it is 7 and between B and E it is going to be 2. So obviously 2 is the shortest path, therefore it is going to find out this as the route. So at E, what is the routing table it is going to write? For E it is going to write as 4 is the distance traveled and the parent node for E or source node for E is going to be node B. So it is going to cover 2 plus 2, that is going to be 4 comma B. So E of 4 comma B. From E we got how many routes we have? 1 and 2. So therefore from this route it will be taking to F. Now what is that we can have between E and F? So most importantly, E is going to have 4 comma B. So what is the meaning of 4 comma B? 4 is nothing but the distance it has taken and B is going to be the source node to the E. So what is the source for E? It is B. So what is the distance covered? It is 4. So 4 comma B. So from E, What are the nodes connected now? It is going to be F and G. Now if you consider G is going to be as the working node, so that means from E, already E is a working node, we have come over here. So after E, it will be going to F and G. If G is going to be the working node, now what is going to be the value for G? So what is the route it has taken to come to G, node G, router G? It is 2, A to B is 2, B to E is 2, and then it is 1, that is 5. So that means G of 5 comma E is the route it has taken. Then next, if F is going to be the working node, then what is going to be the source node for F? It is E. What is the distance covered for F? Up to E it will be 4. That means 2 plus 2, 4 plus 2, 6. So for F it will be 6 comma E. E is the source node. Okay. Now the last one is important. What is the last one that we can just have it over here? Is something like this. Okay. So from I can come to H either from F or from G. There are two routes. Let us try to test these two routes. If F is the active node, if F is the working node, then what is the route F can take? It can take something like from F to H. What is the value from F to H? It is 2. So up to it is 6. 6 plus 2, 8. So H of 8 comma F. F is the source node. 8 is the distance covered for a packet to travel from A to H. Next route is going to be what now? If G is going to be the active node, if G is going to be the working node, active node is the passed node, working node is the present working node. So if G is going to be the working node, then the packet will travel from G to H. The route is going to be from G to H. What is the distance between G to H? It is going to be 4. Therefore, up to G it will be 5. So 5 plus 4, it is going to be 9. So therefore, I can have H of, what value I can have? It is 5 is the distance plus 4. That means 5 plus 4, it will be 9. That means I will be writing here as 9. And what is the source node? Source node is nothing but G here. So I will write G. That means there are two routes that we have got over here. One route is going to be from H, F, another route is going to be from G. So which is the shortest among 8 and 9? 8 is the shortest. Therefore, what is the final route that we are going to consider here? It is going to be from A to B, B to E, E to F, and F to H. Is the route that has been configured by the routers. Okay, that means router A has configured the route for a packet, which is going to be the shortest path for a packet to travel from A to H, which is going to be the shortest path that we can really going to consider. That means what is the route that has to be taken for a packet to travel from A to H? It is going to be A to B, okay, B to E, then E to it is going to F, so E to F. Then next you are going to have from F to H. That means F to H. Alright. That means what is the distance covered? It is H. What is the source for F? It will be, what is the source for H? It is F. What is the source for F? It is E. What is the source for E? It is B. What is the source for B? It is going to be A. It is written over here. So like this, the packet is normally going to get really judged here. Now once after the network is totally configured, then the router A, whenever it has to transmit a packet, it is going to simply take this particular route to send the packet from A to H. So this is how the shortest path methodology that we normally going to consider in this particular example. Okay. So this is what the shortest path example. Right? Now what I do is we will end up our session here because it has taken around more than 25 minutes time. Please try to practice this particular simple example by taking such a network under consideration. Okay. Don't consider these letters. Don't consider these letters because they are just misprinted here. Okay, so these are not there, just don't bother. Just only consider the nodes here as node A, node B, node E, node G, C, F, D and H. And these circles are considered as routers. Now imagine that all these circles, whatever that we are putting, all these are nothing but the routers. Okay, they are called as routers. Now whichever router is with arrow, this is nothing but the working, this is known as working node. It is known as working node. And router which has passed, that means which has been tested, the route has been tested and the source router has been fixed. So this is known as the active router. This is known as simply active. This is known as active router. So router A, that means here now let us come to the last figure. In this particular figure, what are the active routers? Router A, B, E, F, H are the active routers. What are the inactive routers? All the rest of them. That means called C is inactive, D is inactive, okay, and G is also inactive. So these are the inactive routers. What are the working routers here? There is no question of any working router because the route has been configured. So once we configure the route, we can transmit the packet from that particular route. Okay. Thank you very much for today's session. We will end up our session today with this shortest path routing algorithm, because in the exam you have to explain this, you have to draw these figures, you have to explain its working, and finally you should figure out the final route. There ends the concept for the shortest path routing algorithm. So in the next session we continue with flooding and hierarchical routing algorithms. Thank you very much for today's session.